started doing community activism after my last political campaign. I kind of felt like if we aren't getting the return that we need out of politicians, then we need to start forcing that. After August 9th, we went to Ferguson, came back on the 16th, and decided to hold this solidarity rally, and we decided to do rallies ever since then, and it just organically grew into Stand Up Sunday.
I, along with Chanel, got on board with the organization about a year ago after the whole thing happened with Mike Brown, and I've actually been in organizing and social justice movement pretty much all my life.
I got involved with Stand Up Sunday a little over a year ago after I witnessed police brutality with my own eyes.
You know, I'm kind of a youth activist, so I'm ready for whatever.
I got involved with Stand Up Sunday probably almost a year ago. There needs to be white allies that are visible in the Black Lives Matter movement. This is also my first Stand Up Sunday.
A lot of what we deal with is non-transparency from our city government, as well as the state government around black and brown bodies. We do have an issue of police brutality that's just been a constant for like many years, especially since the late 90s. We also have an economic problem that's a severe problem.
Here in Louisville, the system is broken as far as the inequality with students, definitely with students of color, ESL students.
The achievement gap of brown, Latino, black students, as well as like in low-income students, they're not getting the resources in an equitable way.
I'm really excited to get more involved in affordable housing and community development, bringing houses up to code, securing those properties, increasing home ownership, increasing wealth.
Coming from the white community, I can say that the racism runs deep. We just pass on and we allow this hate to be taught in just open spaces. And so sort of dismantling that from within my own community is a lot of what I do.
I'm very excited about restorative justice, being able to allow convicted felons to be able to get their voting rights back.
I'm ready for this revolution, and I feel like we're getting ready to be there. I feel like there's a lot of dope people nationally and internationally that are ready to make that happen. Actually, the Black Lives Matter movement is moving a whole lot faster than any other movement right now.
I'm really excited about getting involved in the movement as a whole, the whole Black Lives Matter, specifically Black Gay Lives Matter, because I'm a gay male and I get discriminated against every day for just walking up the street.
There are more white people mobilizing for racial justice than I think there has ever been. I'm part of a national campaign that's going to get kicked off soon about taking down like street names and school names and statues that uplift a history we don't want.
I'm excited about the intersectionality I'm seeing going on. I'm seeing folks not compartmentalize issues, but really coming together.
If all lives matter, then why don't black lives, red lives, immigrant lives, trans lives, gay lives, why don't all these lives matter? We wouldn't have the need for a multi-faction movement if all these lives mattered in the first place. What I think is at core is white supremacy and the way that it is built around our political system, a fake political system, because if it was a real political system, then it would adhere to the people and do what the people need. People just want to live, do some things that are natural, you know, love their lover, love their families, love their children, and be able to sustain a life for themselves. And in that life now, we have to fight for it. We have to fight for food. We have to fight for housing. We have to fight for my own reproductive rights. My womb is on the line. I didn't sign my womb up. My womb's gonna come with me with whatever weapon I bring, and I think that needs to be my voice. But we have to fight for our own voices, and at the end of the day, this is slavery. If we don't destroy the system, then the system is going to destroy us. Somebody said that the next world war was going to be between the Middle East. We've already had that. Somebody said the next world war was going to be with water. That's the climate change movement. It may. But I think the next type of war that is going to happen is between the people and the companies, between the corporations.
We're coming to a really critical point in this new movement, and for the most part, you haven't really seen an overwhelming amount of churches or preachers really getting behind this movement. And what it's creating to me is you said it earlier, a generational divide, where you have a lot of young people who are on fire, who are putting their bodies on the line, who have been eating tear gas, who have been getting shot with rubber bullets, who've been going to jail, and you have preachers and churches who pretty much think what we're doing is a joke, and they've completely been ignoring the momentum and the wins that we have been able to get through this movement.
My problem with these preachers and churches who are against the Black Lives Matter movement, especially if you are a part of a black liberation movement before or the civil rights movement before, what do you think we are fighting for now? You hold congregations of people from different factions, from different walks of life, people who come in with their last dime to give to the church to pray to a God that is supposed to give them something. And if we're praying to God, swearing to God, waiting on God, giving it up to God, you as this messenger, what are you doing for these people in this liberation for black people? I think it's a slap in the face, and it's a complete way to indoctrinate, to assist with the slavery that's happening with the corporations, especially if you're in bed with them. And a lot of these preachers, we see them, they got on the nicest threads, they have the nicest cars, the most beautiful houses, their women are always done to the T. What does that represent when you're supposed to be doing the salvation of suffering, which is supposed to be God's work? You work from a Christian standpoint if you're Christian, and that those values come from Jesus Christ, a man who sacrificed anything he could have had on the back of his popularity, but instead stayed with people. He fed people, showed miracles, and decided that the church initially wasn't where you can praise his Father. You can do that anywhere. But now we make sure that you're shamed if you don't go to church. You're shamed if you don't believe in God. And you're shamed if you don't believe what he sends down to you. A while back, a very prominent preacher here in the city decided that we're marching for no reason. We need to stop twerking and start working, and we use that as a joke. We're really talking about some things that we struggle with as a society of people of color, our cultural values over this political value system that doesn't value us at all. At the end of the day, while we fight white supremacy, we also fight their asses too, because they hold a lot of people's lives in their hands who sleep underneath their feet.
There's nothing like the South as far as the food, the people. Of course, I was born and raised in Kentucky.
I'd be damned if I go to California and have to live in a place that costs $2,500, or New York. It's outrageous. Small spaces that we pay $400 here to rent are like $3,000 there in New York. So I'd be damned if I go do that and get the same treatment. Let's be clear. This treatment doesn't only just happen in particular areas around the country. This treatment happens to particular people within economic systems. So the poorer you are, the more harsh treatment you're going to get from politicians, from the police. It's not so much, why don't the people leave? Why doesn't the system do better? Why doesn't the system do right? Why isn't the system just?
I have seen incredibly violent racism that's been coded, that's been covert in different parts of the country. I recently moved back to the South. It's an adjustment, but there are times, particularly, I have to say things like this are why I'm glad I'm back here.
I believe in the people here. I believe in the movement here. I believe in the social justice action that's happening here.
I'm proud of the history that we have of resistance, and I'm proud to be a part of it now.
I moved here to go to Louisville, and then I just kind of stuck around. I like the city, but I think it's important because if you think about really dismantling the system of white supremacy, a lot of that work has got to be done on a local scale, and so you need really strong people across the board, across this nation. You need people in big cities, you need people in small cities and urban areas and rural areas. You need strong people everywhere.
I think it's really hard to try to be optimistic in a world where you can see so much wrong go on daily, and especially when you live underneath that wrong. So I fake it. I feel like I fake being strong. I feel like I fake the optimism. It doesn't feel real yet until we get some like really concrete things. When our mayor is gone, Greg Fisher needs to come out of office. When our governor is gone, we can get rid of Jack Conway and the rest of them. We can get rid of this two-party system that's governing over people's lives, and we can start governing over ourselves.
What keeps me optimistic, this is going to sound really silly, but I'm dead serious, it's Jesus and the aliens. I just look for the day that either one of them will come back and save us. Until then, we just try to make little small gains, the small gains that we can. She's twerking.
What keeps me optimistic is foods like these people over here to my right. Being around people who are part of the movement, who want to fight back, people who love on one another, whether they admit it or not, people who care for one another, people who want to stand up and fight back for one another.
All I know is that we're going to win. It's either all of us and none of us in this Black Lives Matter thing.
It's for me to be here now, for me to make a difference now, and that's why I'm here in the South.